When I first moved to California from the East Coast, there was plenty to love. The weather, the redwoods, and maybe most of all, the tacos. But something that always bothered me was that, as hard as I would try, I couldn't find what I thought was a decent slice of pizza. Although I always took it for granted, I grew up in the center of what's been called America's Pizza Belt, a zone around New York City where you can reliably find great pizza on any street corner. This isn't to say good pizza can't be found outside of the New York area, or even to argue that New York style pizza is the best. But it is a historical hub for immigration from southern Italy that ultimately formed the foundation for America's pizza culture. I grew up in northern New Jersey, about 15 minutes outside of Manhattan, eating New York style pizza as our family's go to takeout choice. More recently, I've taken an interest in food culture in general and researched the history of American pizza in particular. First, I want to define the Pizza Belt in the context of my own experience growing up there. Second, I'll discuss what defines New York-style pizza and the history of how it came into existence. And finally, I'll briefly cover some other regional takes on pizza and where you can find approximations of the New York style here in California. Let me explain some of my own experience. I grew up in Montclair, New Jersey, right in the core of America's Pizza Belt. My town was just a 15-minute train ride from New York City, and it loomed large in our lives. The food culture was identical. Delis, bagels, and Italian food were sort of the default cheap takeout. This is where I developed my expectations for pizza. According to New York Times food writer Ed Levine, writing in 2006, the Pizza Belt stretches from Philadelphia in the south up to Rhode Island in the north, forming a sort of bubble around New York City. In 2013, Max Reed elaborated on the Pizza Belt theory, writing for Gawker. He specifically stated that plenty of good pizza can be found outside of the Pizza Belt, but this is where you'll be more likely than not to get a good slice of pizza, at least by New York standards. Since our purposes today are informative, we're not really here to argue about subjective quality. Is pizza really better in the Pizza Belt, as the authors behind the theory claim? Is New York pizza the best in America? That's not for us to decide. But it is a fact that the Pizza Belt is the focal point for the cultural and culinary phenomenon of New York pizza. Regardless of judgments on quality, the area is clearly the center of American pizza culture in general, and it sets the bar for the rest of the country. So what is New York pizza, and how did it come to be? To understand New York pizza, we need to know what it is, and we have to talk about its history. According to Nick Solaris, writing for Eater.com, the first commercial pizza in America launched in 1905 in downtown Manhattan. Unlike the wood ovens used in Italy, these early pizzerias used coal ovens, and they produced a larger, crispier version of the Italian pie. After World War II, a ban on coal ovens in Manhattan forced a shift to gas ovens. Meanwhile, soldiers returning from Italy longed for pizza, and they brought it into the mainstream from immigrant communities. Together, these two factors created the New York-style pizza we know today. Instead of fresh mozzarella scattered sporadically across the pizza, as you would find in Italy, the new pizzerias used low-moisture mozzarella, which responded better to gas ovens, and they spread the cheese across every inch of the surface of the pizza, just like we would expect from pizza today. The new pizzas were larger, and they were often sold by the slice for the very first time in history. This evolution created the pizza that we know today, not just in New York, but across the country. New York slices specifically are thin, foldable, and they tend not to have an overwhelmingly gooey, thick layer of cheese like you might find elsewhere in America. The crust achieves an elusive, fresh bread quality that is also rarely found elsewhere. The Pizza Belt exists because the area was a hub for Italian immigrants in the early 20th century. After World War II, New York was where pizza was democratized and started its journey to become a mainstream American food. Next, we'll see how pizza evolved in its journey across the country. While other parts of the country may struggle to approximate New York style outside the Pizza Belt, many regions have developed their own unique takes. Carla Walsh, writing for EatThis.com, reviews regional styles in detail. Chicago is well known for its casserole-like deep dish pizza among outsiders, but in reality, Chicago natives more frequently eat tavern style, a thin-crusted, square-cut pizza that's actually popular throughout the entire Midwest. Detroit-style pizza is thick and fluffy and also square-cut, and it was originally baked in steel auto parts pans. Throughout the 20th century, many regions have developed pizza styles that are no less authentic than the original New York style. So what about California? Do we have our own style? California is often on the receiving end of pizza jokes from New Yorkers, like myself. but it is heir to its own proud pizza tradition. California is known for high-quality toppings, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, and the focus here is not on the basic elements, like the crust or the sauce, but on the toppings. This traces to high-end chefs like Alice Waters and Wolfgang Puck. It went mainstream through California Pizza Kitchen, and its influence can still be found in local pizzerias and chains, like Pizza My Heart here in Santa Cruz. Toppings, especially veggies, tend to be fresh and unconventional. In the New York area, toppings like barbecue chicken are unheard of, and cheese, or what we call plain pizza back east, is the default. The California pizza style plays to the region's strengths: fresh produce and high-quality ingredients. But after all of this talk of New York pizza, can you find a decent approximation here in California? In my experience as an East Coast transplant, the answer is yes, but you have to search pretty far. In Santa Cruz, the pizza counter outside the Catalyst downtown offers slices that are respectably thin, and they don't overdo the cheese too much, coming within striking distance of a New York slice. A bit further afield in Sunnyvale, a slice of New York consciously makes a point of thin, foldable slices with NYC-inspired decor. But if you really want to explore pizza styles, you can make a day of it and head to Tony's Pizza Napolitana in North Beach, San Francisco. Here, they offer a variety of pizza styles from across the country, including Detroit style and tavern style, like we mentioned. And they're cooked in the right oven types. They have wood, coal, and gas ovens for different pizzas, and they're cooked at different temperatures to get different results. They make pizza into a science. And of course, their New York style is considered a staple. You'll find New York style in California, but you have to be willing to search for it. So let's review our newfound pizza expertise. We've defined the pizza belt, the history of New York style, and regional styles. New York is the historical and cultural hub of pizza in America, but with a dish that's so fundamentally American, other regions have their own spin on it too. Here in California, you'll find both a local style, attempts to reproduce New York style, and everything in between. Knowing what kind of pizza you're eating will help you appreciate it for what it is, and even consider the rich history that brought you your next slice. For this East Coaster, understanding pizza culture has helped me move past the typical New York attitude dismissing anything besides New York style pizza, often with a mean-spirited joke, to now appreciating what the rest of the country has to offer on its own terms. Thank you.